Okay, today I'm going to show you how to do a Chapter 1 response to Lord of the Flies using text evidence. Remember, whenever we respond to text, we want to make sure we are using evidence to prove our answer and show where our information is coming from. So, if you look here, our main question in Chapter 1, why do you believe the first hunt ends the way it does? In other words, why do you think Jack makes the decision that he does? And if you look on page 31 of Lord of the Flies, the decision that he makes is really no decision at all. He wants to kill the pig, but he's unable to kill the pig. And why? Why is this so? So we will be answering again using APES. If you know APES, answer the question posed, the question, provide evidence, explain your evidence, then summarize your response. So for this answer, I'm looking for two pieces of evidence. So we're going to have to answer, provide, explain, and then summarize. Okay, so let's get started on that by heading back to Word. And if this is your response, top right corner, you would put your name and then whatever class you're in. And remember, I asked for 12-point font, double-spaced, times New Roman. So I like to get that stuff out of the way right in the beginning. So let's go find Times New Roman. There it is, Times New Roman. Come down, indent in, and our first line. So what does our first line aim to do here? Well, we want to answer the question, but we also want to make sure we include what I call the tagline, and that includes the title that you're discussing, in this case, Lord of the Flies, the author, in this case, his name is William Golding, and G, the genre, so what type of work are we discussing? So those three pieces of information should be in the first line of the response. So we're going to indent, hit the tab key, and genre is the first one from the tagline. Genre type, Lord of the Flies is a novel. In the novel, then we want our title. So a title of a novel, a title of a longer work should be italicized, which is this one up here. Tells your reader that it's the title by William Golding. And now we want to answer the question. If we look at the question again, why do you believe the first hunt ends the way it does? Why do you think Jack makes the decision that he does? So we have to be answering that question. In the novel Lord of the Flies by William Golding, Jack is unable to kill the piglet stuck in the vines because he was scared of the blood. He also never killed anything before, and killing an animal is a big deal. And that's not the only right answer, but that could be a right answer. So let's do paragraph. Remember, I want it double spaced. So let's make sure that happens as well. So now we answered the question. We had our tagline in there. Now we want to provide evidence. To show this, the author writes, and now we need to go back to our novel. We got to find a line in here that really makes the point that, Jack was scared. He never killed anything before, and all the boys really realize it. So a line I really like is this one. The pause was only long enough for them to understand what an enormity the downward stroke would be. Exactly from the book, the pause was only long enough for them to understand what an enormity, which means a really big deal, what an enormity the downward stroke would be. And you end your quote there. So that was providing evidence. Now we got to explain our evidence. This means that killing an animal is a really big deal, especially if you are not used to it. So that's kind of a simple explanation, but it still gets the point across. If you want to explain in 2 lines, you can always do that. There's no rules that say you only have to explain in 1 line. All the boys realize that killing the piglet would be very difficult, and bloody. So, but remember I asked for 2 pieces of evidence, so now we got to go back, we got to provide more evidence and then explain more evidence. So next, the author writes, and then we got to go back to our text here. If we look here, then they all 3 laughed ashamedly and began to climb back to the track. Let's go with that one. And then they all 3, again, I'm just taking this line right here, laughed ashamedly and began to climb back to the track. Okay, now we got to explain that. This means the boys were embarrassed that they were unable to kill the pig. Boys are supposed to be tough and aggressive and able to hunt, and remember, if you remember the first chapter, who was on the exploration? Simon and Ralph and Jack were unable to kill the pig. So you want to make sure you get all the parts of the question in there. So if we go back to the question itself in Word, remember I also wanted you to predict. Do you believe in the future the situation will change? If so, how do you believe it will change and why? So let's make sure we get that in there. In the future, I predict the boys, and especially Jack, will be able to kill pigs, especially as they are on the island longer and forget what it was like back in a normal and civilized society. All right, so that was more explanation, and now our last part of APES is we just need to summarize our response. In conclusion, Jack was unable to kill the pig this time because he was scared, but in the future, the pigs will not stand a chance. And that's how you do it. So again, you answer, right? Answer with the tagline, provide evidence, it's right here from the novel, explain, you provide evidence, you explain, predict, that was part of my question this time, and then S is summarize, and that's all it is. And this isn't, again, the only right answer, but this is an example of what a decent response looks like. All right, I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to checking out your responses in class.